Very good afternoon to everybody calling in from Asia, and a very good morning to people calling in from the Americas. And we're likely to have people from all over the world today. So, welcome to day two of the Cross Border Summit organized by Vinculum. Today's topic is leveraging brand distributors. My name is Shurit Dev Sharma. I'm the mentor to the Vinculum group and have extensive experience in brand management across the globe. It is a great privilege to introduce today's esteemed panelists from all over the world. First, we have Russell Wollam from the United States. Russell is Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of Brand Nexity Commerce Group, which is a D2C e-commerce consulting group in the United States. They are a key ecosystem partner, and they are pioneering the distributor model to take brands to the US from all over. We will listen and learn a lot from Russ about what it takes to be successful in the United States. Next, we have from Malaysia, we have Dato Nachi, who is the director of Citix, which is based in Malaysia, and they are a 3PL partner for various brands. They operate across Southeast Asia and are in fact responsible for being a hub for brands which also want to operate in other regions. A fantastic partnership that we are looking forward to and a lot to learn from Nachi. Next, we have Mr. Navin Pansari. Mr. Navin Pansari is founder director of Olympia Industries, which is a leading distributor for over 1,000 brands across various categories. You name it, they have it, like automotive, home care, baby care, personal care, home and kitchen appliances, large appliances. So any category that you want to talk about, and if you are a participant in today's call, chances are you will get gems of information from Navin Pansari on your category. Next, we have Mr. Deepak Khushalani calling in from the Middle East. Deepak is the founder and managing director of Premier Logistics Dubai, which is one of the preferred partners for brands wanting to go into the Middle East market, which, as you know, is booming. And the promise that Deepak makes is to provide end-to-end solutions. So when we hear from Deepak, there's a lot that we will learn from him. We also have Mr. Neeraj Karnik. Neeraj is dialing in from Malaysia again. Neeraj heads Urbanis Global, which is a large distributor, and they specialize in lifestyle brands. And Neeraj also runs his own brand, so which means he has experience of both being a brand owner and operator as well as a distributor. And last but certainly not the least, we have Rahul Agarwal. Rahul is the Chief Executive Officer and founder of Organic Harvest, which is an all organic beauty and skincare brand out of India. And Rahul is here also because A, he represents the brand perspective, and B, he is on the cross-border journey. So there is a lot that we will learn from him. So it is a great privilege. Welcome, gentlemen, and welcome to everybody listening in today. So we're going to go geo-wise because we know by geo is where people's interests are. So we're going to start with the United States, a market where a lot of people are interested. So Russ, good morning to you, Russ.
Good morning, everyone. How are you?
So Russ, if you wouldn't mind telling us a little bit about how it is to distributor manage brands in the United States. Tell us a little bit about your business model, about how you interact with brands. And also, if you could touch upon some of the key things that people want to know, which is about, how do we scale business? How do we manage returns and pricing, etc. If you could touch upon this.
Sure. So Brand Nexity was founded a couple of years ago on the premise that we were going to help brands go direct to consumer. And one of our strengths, my business partner, Chris, and I have each over 20 years experience here in the United States, market, even owning and operating our own e-commerce businesses, and then in the last few years consulting with other brands. So one of the strengths that we kind of bring and, brands should be looking for, I think, when going cross-border is, is there one kind of stop that can help get into all the different avenues and channels, including not only Amazon, You know, obviously when brands first think about coming to the United States, you know, the very first go-to is Amazon. And one of the reasons is because they'll, you know, take your goods in, they'll house them, they'll ship them, sell them on the site. But there's lots of other opportunities here. There's, you know, the eBays, there's the Walmarts, you know, there's new marketplaces emerging on places such as Target. So one of the things that we bring to that capability is that multiple facing those different marketplaces here in the United States. So as far as what we do, we're able to act as an importer on record for brands. We're also able to act as a seller on record. So if brands don't want to open up a tax ID and they want to work through a distributor such as us, we can take payments, we can be responsible for the taxes and really start bringing brands to market. We work with brands of all sizes, from small to large. You know, one of the advantages to working obviously on the internet is the ability for any brand to have its voice heard. And the more marketplaces, the more exposure you have, you know, allows you to brand yourself kind of even better. So we don't stop at marketplaces either. We'll help brands go into the social media marketplaces, understanding the local, you know, kind of voice and you know, how a brand is positioned. We'll also even help brands build a website here in the United States. There's a huge percentage of customers who may start a product customer journey on Amazon, but then want to go legitimize. They want to interact with the brand. So we'll actually help drive traffic in multiple different avenues. You know, as far as returns, we also can help, you know, with those returns, whether you sold it directly on Amazon, whether you had overstocks on Amazon. You know, that's often a difficult thing to find. I mean, Amazon will happily charge you to throw it in the trash. We don't believe in that. You know, there's other markets for that to happen, you know, such as eBay or Amazon. Sometimes it's about, you know, the first attempt when brands come in, they're not sure what consumers are looking for. You know, they're not sure if they're taking the advertising and actually speaking to what the customer concerns are. I always use this example, you know, kind of a bicycle. You know, there's a company here called Schwinn Bikes who have been in business over 100 years, and you know, they go on Amazon for the first time and they do an okay job. They have great images of just the product, and you know, they put what they've always done, which is bullet point specs of, you know, their product. But then this other company out of China came in with Firmstrong, similar bike, but instead of focusing, you know, on the metal bits and pieces of that bicycle, they focused on what the consumer wanted. The incumbent here who's been here 100 years, but they also did it at a $50 higher price point. So I think, you know, it's important to understand what the consumer is looking for here in the United States, and then operationally, you know, helping brands end to end to be able to do the returns, do the right pricing, do the importing, make sure that they're compliant in the market, you know, worry about are you compliant for California Prop 65 laws, the cancer causing agents that they have listed. You know, if you're not aware of those laws, you can easily get fined and be out of business. So I think we're that one stop. That's kind of our strength. We knew that brands coming into a market for the first time need something more than Amazon, and they need kind of that end-to-end consulting. So I think that, you know, is what we bring, and happy to answer any questions as we progress on this panel.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you. We'll come back, of course, to Russ, and I'm sure there will be several questions that will come to him. We move halfway across the world and we go to another really, really exciting market. So Southeast Asia, friends, as you all know, is a really lucrative market, and he's going to talk us through what it means to be successful. So Neeraj, if you would tell us a little bit about the Malaysia market, what works, what doesn't work, also how you look at your partnership with the brands, and if you could also touch a little bit upon pricing, because we know pricing plays such an important role. So over to you, Neeraj. Neeraj, I think you're on mute. If you just unmute yourself, please. Thank you.
Hello. Hi. Hello, everyone. good afternoon, good evening, and good morning. I believe we are addressing to a lot of crowds from different geographies. So I'm happy to share my insight on the Southeast Asian market. Interestingly, Malaysia is actually becoming the gateway to Southeast Asian markets. Being why I'm saying gateway is because big players are moving into Malaysia as their central hub to cater to the growing demand that Malaysia has. And we have some big players like Lazada, who is under Alibaba's umbrella, and we have Zalora, we have Shopee. These are the different marketplace big players who are there. As far as Malaysian market is concerned, the online market is huge, getting huge day by day, especially after the COVID issues which we are all facing. So, like I said, it's a very important market to, if any brand are looking to enter Southeast Asian markets. So, as far as we are concerned, I am like Surit said, that we are brand distributors also, and we have our own brand, and we are also providing the brands with end-to-end solutions based out of Malaysia. So that's all currently what we are doing. What we look forward from a brand, especially what we look forward from the brand is to 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 give us exactly what their expectations are from the market in terms of where do they want to pitch the brand, uh, where they want to see which all markets they want to enter in Southeast Asia. From being in just one place, can keep one stock point rather than going into 7 different countries. So these are the advantages of being here with us. What we also do is that we have great contacts with all the top players in Malaysia. So it is easy for us to talk, negotiate, and get the brand listed uh, quite easily. Uh, However, like we are very close to China, we have a lot of issues in terms of pricing. So we do expect that the pricing needs to be very competitive. Southeast Asian markets actually work on very high discounts. So those are some of the tricks which we will have to play when the brands are looking to enter into Malaysia, into the Southeast Asian markets.
Are there any specific subcategories, Neeraj, that work particularly well in Malaysia, if you were to share your experience?
See, like I said, there are three big players. So there are three big players, and the categories are very well. They are very well categorized with all the players. Like for example, uh, Lazada is very strong on electronics and cheaper products. Anything which is like your uh, mobile accessories or things which are quite cheap, $1, $2 kind of items. Shopee is a medium platform which is doing well with all the categories. However, there is another channel which is Zalora, which is completely fashion oriented, and they are doing extremely well with mid to premium segments. So if you ask me, Surit, any particular category, I wouldn't say that, but there are a lot of scopes. There is a lot of, in fact, the market is still growing at a very good pace. So I wouldn't put it under one category particularly. So it depends on what product we are wanting to promote.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Neeraj. And we will come back to Neeraj, obviously.
Yeah,
Staying
sure.
on with Malaysia, we are now going to talk to Nachi.
Yep.
Nachi, if you wouldn't mind telling us, because I don't think the introduction did justice to all the things that you're doing. So a little bit of introduction about, all the facilities that you have, so people get to know the entire gamut of your offerings. with brands, right? Do you apply certain with who you wouldn't partner with, or just shed light?
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all participants and also the speakers. Maybe I will just give you an overview of our digital economy in ASEAN itself to start with. ASEAN itself, it's about the GDP is about fifth largest economy, which is about 2.8 trillion that they're doing. In terms of population, it has the third largest population in the world. And also in terms of digital penetration, we have about, Malaysia itself is about 80%, Singapore is 82%, Brunei is about 83%, Philippines is about 55%, Thailand and Vietnam is about 45%. Indonesia, Cambodia, Myanmar, and Laos is roughly about 35 to 40%. Therefore, the penetration of this is now getting very strong. The big ones, the big players, like what Niraj has just said, Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, and Brunei are the large penetration. The trading that is happening today in ASEAN, it's 23% between intra-ASEAN, followed by China 17%, and EU about 10%, US 9%, Japan is 9%. The digital economy here in the ASEAN is within the 5 to 6 different digital platforms, which are the e-commerce, e-hailing, e-media, e-finance, and e-travel. But basically the domination is on two things. One is the e-commerce and e-hailings. These are the two huge domination for the digital economy. Malaysia, Singapore, Philippines, and Brunei has 20 to 30% growth on an annual basis on the digital economy, and about 40% for Indonesia and Vietnam. The internet users in ASEAN is about 260 million users in 2015, and 2019 is 360 million. I just wanted to give you this some background first, so that you know how important the internet economy is in ASEAN. Huh? The gross merchandise value for ASEAN is about 32 billion in 2015, and is about 100 billion in 2019, and expected by 2025 about 300 billion. In terms of the breakdown, e-commerce active users about 49 million in 2015, and 150 million in 2019. So you can see there's a huge number of active users, especially e-commerce. Followed by e-hailing, 8 million in 2015, now is 40 million. E-media, especially the gaming, is 130 million in 2015 and 180 million in 2019. The GMV, which is gross merchandise value for the ASEAN GDP, is about 1.3% in 2015, 3.7% in 2019, and it's supposed to grow about 8.5% in 2025. US is about 6.5 in 2016. Therefore, the internet GMV for per capita in 2019 in ASEAN for the major cities within the ASEAN countries, it's about 598 US dollars. And outside the metro or beyond the metro, it's about 98. You can see the huge difference between the metro and non-metros. Therefore, as the internet economy sector, e-commerce is expected to grow from 38 billion to 153 billion in 2025. It started off in 2015 as 5 billion, in 2019 and 38 billion. There is a growth potential if you look at the internet economy itself. Therefore, how do we play as CITICs? We look at ourselves as a value enabler for brands who intend to come offshore to present themselves into the ASEAN countries. As an offshore brand entity, we also represent them as an entity, as a seller and a buyer into the respective countries in ASEAN. We have a strong footprint in many of these countries, starting from Singapore. We have in India, we have in Malaysia, we are in Thailand now. We have 3 more countries to go. Within this year, we are intend to put up Indonesia, Philippines, and Vietnam. We look at leveraging the process for brands and product by category, movement as part of a cross-border in terms of regulatory requirements and approval, especially looking at the bilateral trade and also individual FTAs that each country they have. For example, India has also FTAs with Malaysia, FTAs with respective ASEAN countries. We look at an option have starting up what we call a strategic consolidation center from the origin point in India to consolidate what we call the replenishment throughput, the velocity of replenishment, because you could not fill up containers on a regular basis. Therefore, we think that if we can have strategic consolidation centers for leveraging the pre and post cross-border movement, or else, we will not be able to replenish on time for this. We see that Malaysia is one of the most critical hub because we have 2. We have free trade zone at the port. We also have a digital free trade zone at the airport, which can facilitate the e-commerce business. Therefore, Malaysia, from a point, the reachability is within 2 to 3 days for within the ASEAN country, and within Malaysia itself, our reach is within 1 to 2 days. For in phase 1, what we think that we will offer an entry point hub in Malaysia, and eventually within the phase 1, we will use the drop shipment into the respective countries where we are in, and we use our agents for Indonesia, Philippines, and Vietnam in the early stage. Eventually, in phase 2, what we will do is, because of the volume and things like that, we will actually start up a strategic satellite gateway hubs for in Indonesia, Vietnam, Thailand, and Philippines to combine with the local brands and the critical fast movers of the brands that we present in Malaysia to serve the market with a shorter SLA in phase 2. In phase 3, what we think that we can also work together with the brands if the possibility to explore a physical distribution in the countries in Malaysia and other countries into omni-channels if it's required, either a single brand or multi-brand. CITICs, as I said, can be a suitable partner in ASEAN where brands who wants to come in. Our presence and footprint in these countries would act as the multiplier enabler. That means we can take not only a single portion, we take it the whole value chain. We can also have a good knowledge of the logistics and supply chain, including the local know-how in each of the ASEAN countries, because we have our own local partners. That means not only bringing the knowledge of what we know, but also the local guys can play to be the facilitator of it. We have a good team, especially a very professional team in each of these sites, so that we can have a quick startup and a sustainable go-through, rather than you have a learning curve and adjusting here and there. Therefore, we can issue that. Our strength is to develop a seamless process connectivity from upstream, where the brands are, until the last mile, until the downstream. And of course, our value creation cost model that we have, we will actually simplify the process of brands to come in from a CapEx model to an OpEx model, rather than always looking at a startup of their own. Therefore, we offer this what we call a cost to serve model as a CapEx model to an OpEx model. And of course, brands that intend to come in now, we think that with us around in ASEAN, it's a low risk entry point for them to come into any of these ASEAN countries.
Great, great. I think Nachi, thank you so much. I'm sure, meaning if I were a brand, I would want to jump in and work with you for all the services that you offer. I'm going to jump to Rahul now, and Rahul, if you wouldn't mind telling us a little bit about your journey, because you are now in the cross-border journey, and I know you are partnering with Neeraj. So maybe once you speak, we also listen a little bit from Neeraj in terms of what worked between the two of you as well, and how it's going, and what are the learnings you would want to share with all the brands that are listening in.
Sure. So, greetings, all the participants and the viewers all across the globe. And special thanks to Dato for sharing all the stats. I think I am enlightened with those stats. Coming back to ourselves, so Organic Harvest is a range of organic personal care products, and we have a range of skin care, hair care, and beauty care product. The body care products. And we started our journey from India market around 7 years ago in a traditional general trade, modern trade led distribution. And within our journey of 7 years, I think in last 2 years, we realized that online is a distribution channel which can work parallelly in conjunction with the traditional general trade distribution. So our the e-com journey effectively started around 2 years ago. Looking at the acceptability of the consumers in the Indian market, we decided to move on and take the brand global. So for us, the international journey started from Nepal and then to UAE and some part of Saudi Arabia. And then we took the brand to the US, Canada, and UK. Now, taking the brand further to other countries as well, we are partnering with Neeraj and taking it to Southeast Asian countries, starting with Malaysia and Singapore. And we were of the believer that beauty brands could not be built in online platform, and we are not shy away to accept this fact that we were grossly wrong in this thought of ours. And specifically, there are beauty brands all across the globe now coming up which are only online and giving a tough fight to the traditional distribution led brands. So I think in the years to come, specifically the situation which the world is facing now, the journey of the consumer to the only online brand has been fastened up, and it's going to be a multi-channel and omni-channel present scenario going forward, wherein the online to offline and offline to online, both the strategies will work. So there are some theories doing the round there wherein which says that offline will die eventually, which I am not a firm believer of. I believe that both the channels will absolutely support each other, and specifically online will be the growth enhancer. So,
Rahul, what were some of your learnings? Because nothing happens smoothly, right? First time when you went, you would have learned something and then you would have improved further. If you could share some for the benefit of our viewers.
Yeah, so I think specifically I can talk about the beauty as an industry. We were of the view that one product which has done well in India, it can be sold anywhere in the world. So we took our best sellers to UAE, to Saudi Arabia, and to US as well. But we quickly realized that it does not work out this way. Beauty is a very personalized industry, and the product has to be formulated as per the local taste and as per the local skin types as well. So that's one learning that we quickly learned in our journey. And second, specifically, if we talk about online, I think Neeraj also touched upon that point, that there are specific platforms which can sell your product, and it does not necessarily have to be the biggest platform in that region. So you have to be very picky in terms of which platforms do you sell your products on, and in terms of pricing also, because most of the markets, not only Southeast Asian countries, but most of the markets are price conscious these days. So pricing as well as the product formulation has to be as per the local
Oh,
accepted.
absolutely. And I think those 4 Ps still hold true, right? Neeraj, would you like to add something to what Rahul said about your journey with Rahul and how something you'd like to add beyond what he said?
Yeah, sure. See, when we were having discussion with Rahul, there were two options available with us. One was that we work on a transfer price model, where Rahul transfers the product at a certain price, FOB, and the other option was where the brand themselves keep the entire pricing strategy with them. So like I said, it depends on the brand how they want to represent their products and how the brand wants to work in the particular market. So with Rahul, he was very clear that he wants to have all the marketing, have all the pricing strategies in his control. They want to invest in the brand. So we were fine. We were fine with it. And we said, it's okay. We can work on that models. We are meaning absolutely no problems with that. So all along, these were the discussions which were happening on what kind of models the brand wants to come into the marketplace.
Great. And I think those are extremely important. So I think we heard about, transfer pricing. We heard about who controls price, who controls inventory, and obviously it's a partnership. Brand plays a very, very big role. Great. Thank you so much. We move to, I think, another market which obviously has always been the cynosure of all eyes. It's in the middle of the world. It's close to Europe. It's close to Asia. It's close to Africa. It is the Middle East region, and we call it actually Middle East and Africa. So we talked to Deepak. Deepak is a very, very dynamic leader, and I think he's helping do some amazing work, taking brands places. So Deepak, a quick bit about the kind of services your organization provides and what you see as the success factors in the Middle East. And if you could share maybe 1 or 2 examples of, something that really made you and the brand partner that you had very, very happy. Over to you, Deepak.
Good. Thank you so much. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody. We've got such an esteemed panel that I kind of feel, what else can I say beyond this? But thank you so much, guys, for giving me this opportunity. Well, we at Premier, I believe we're truly an e-commerce enabler. That's what I would like to call myself, offering services that we ideally call from demand generation to demand fulfillment. That's what we do. Everything end-to-end solution for a product successful journey, to be honest. Everybody talks about a customer journey. Everyone talks in the e-commerce world about customer journey. Where is the customer going? How is the customer shopping? We at Premier tend to look at things a little differently. We actually look at the product journey instead. We work with brands of all shapes and sizes. However, there are a few things that we like to understand from the brand first, which I will get into in a bit. But primarily what we do is everything from brand strategy, pricing, promotion, and delivery to the end user. So this includes everything from warehousing, fulfillment. So we actually sit with a brand on a case-to-case basis, and we see what is required for the brand to be successful within this region. Like I said earlier, we actually work with the brand to actually identify what their intention is within this market. That is very, very important for us. So we can work with brands of any shapes and sizes. The first question that we usually ask a brand is, what are you doing to promote yourself? Is your website adding any value that is delivered beyond marketplaces such as Amazons and Noons and Jolly Cheek and all of that? Does your own website add any value beyond that? Because that is primarily where people will visit first to get to know your product. So D2C, according to me, direct to consumer, is also the next big thing that's coming in. That is what we feel. So some of the key factors that we keep in mind to assist a brand's transition into this region is, first, we try and understand the customer behavior towards their product. Are there any products which are of the same value proposition that this product offers, and how are the customers behaving towards that product? The most important factor that I consider within this region is the localization of the product. Everything from content translation to Arabic labeling to conformity to the local culture, currency conversion. So we actually sit with the brand and we work out an entire strategy as to how we can localize that product so people feel comfortable in terms of even going in the first language can be Arabic, for example, just to see what that brand is. The third thing that we actually see within a brand is fulfillment and shipping options. What are the costs and time frames involved? Is it better that you ship directly from whichever country you're coming in? Or is it better to actually keep bulk of the product here within our fulfillment center and then give it out as per, with us being an importer on record, then giving it out as per orders that are placed? I think one of the other things that I put a lot of focus on particularly is the customer service and local contact details. A lot of things can go wrong in the product journey. And the client just wants that one chat or one phone call to someone maybe who talks in Arabic, which gives them enough comfort to know that, yes, I recognize this brand, they're talking to me fine, ensuring that the time zones are recognized, customer service teams have native speakers. So this is very important to build that brand recognition within the region over here, because Arabic is one of the leading languages over here. Of course, English is what everybody talks in, but when the product is localized, it just gives more comfort to the end user. That's what I particularly feel. And that's what we at Premier do. Everything, like I said, from brand strategy, pricing and promotion, importer on record services, warehousing, fulfillment, last mile delivery. Like I promised, Shurid, it's an end-to-end solution.
Absolutely, absolutely. If you won't mind also touching a little bit about because the Middle East, particularly UAE, was not that big on e-commerce because of the sheer strength of retail till some years ago. How you're seeing that shifting landscape? That's the first question. I think a lot of people are interested. Second is, Deepak, if you could also talk a little bit about how does the payment, remittance, etc. happen, because that's an area of interest also to our viewers.
Sure. Those are really good questions, by the way. Yes, e-commerce is increasing on a year-to-year basis over here. In fact, this morning there was a very interesting article by one of the largest retailers in the region called the Shalhoub Group. And they had particular targets for the e-commerce market in 2025, which they completed in one month during COVID. So you see the rapid expansion of e-commerce in this region particularly is becoming very, very important. People have started recognizing the actual fact that the convenience of ordering online is just way beyond anything else, and which I think COVID has further, taken it a notch further, and actually people now expect an easier transition from offline to online. In fact, there was a survey that I was reading yesterday, which said that, despite the fact that retail stores have reopened, and in Dubai, they've been reopened for quite some time now. According to a recent survey, it said that 42% of the people, they say they will still shop more frequently online post open up of the lockdown. So you start seeing that transition from an offline to online, even though I agree with Rahul completely that retailers are not going to shut down. In fact, they probably just learn more from the West in America, where people use the digital channels to drive their sales online. There is something called where you research online and you come in store and you pick it up. So we provide those solutions to the clients where we discuss with them and we talk to them. And Middle East being such a great region, like you said, it's literally at a 5-hour reach to 70% of the world by flights, which is a phenomenal thing to be right in the center of the location, which is why it is the actual world central. So yes, it is going up. We see a very high smartphone internet penetration over here. In fact, the mobile penetration is probably higher than any other part of the world today. And the average value that we have really realized in a basket has really gone up over the time. Today, an average basket value is anywhere between $140 to $150, which has really seen a tremendous increase in its actual value of e-commerce in the region. That's to answer the first question. The second one, the payment remittances. Again, a very, very important part for international brands that are coming in. Like I said, we do importer on record services. We've got a logistics license, fulfillment, warehousing, everything over here. So we give you an end-to-end solution where you come in with us. You fulfill your goods with us. You don't need to ideally set up trade licenses and all of that. We represent your brand. We go into the marketplaces if you'd like. We go into direct web dev or social commerce, as you call it over here. We do all of that. We collect the payment on your behalf. And that is what is being remitted out to different parts of the world. So we handle the local payment remittances because we understand that this region still is very, very big on cash on delivery, which is slowly and steadily changing with different payment options coming in. But we still see a very high cash on delivery in this region. So there has to be a local party who is managing all your payments, who is doing payment consolidation locally and then sending it out back.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Deepak. Great. And I think there is one gentleman here who a very big part of our audience, I'm sure, has been waiting with bated breath to listen to. So we go to Mr. Navin Pansari. Navinji, a little bit about Olympia. I mean, I was going through your website and it took me a very, very long time to just read through the categories that you cater to, let alone the brands. So if you would talk to us a little bit about some of the categories where you see what is growing the most. Also a little bit about what makes Olympia so special and sets you apart, because you obviously are a partner of choice, sets you apart. And at the end, if you would also mind talking to us a little bit about technology, because we understand such a large business as yours, it is impossible to do that without the use of fantastic technology. And we've been working with you for a while. So over to you, Navinji.
Thank you very much, Vinculum, and thank you guys for having the patience to listen to what all learned orators has been speaking so far. And all of them have been talking a lot of data, a lot of information, a lot of skills, what they have been carrying and bringing on board. And everybody is master of their own. So obviously, if we talk of Mr. Nachi, then obviously he is having a lot of information and knowledge and data about Asian market. Then also we have Neeraj, who is offering the distribution services. We have Deepak, who is offering the services with respect to MENA market, and then of course we have Rahul, who is offering for US market. Now here at Olympia, we do take care of all of them, what they are doing in respective markets for India. And here in India, since this is practically now the third largest, of course it is not yet, but it is slated to become the third largest global economy. And India is having MFN status with most of the countries now globally, especially with ASEAN. We have special treaties with most of the ASEAN countries where we have MFN status with most of them, wherein we have the duty concessions and we have duty rebates for imports or exports or vice versa. Now here in India, we see a lot of opportunities, and of course e-commerce is the area where we all see impressive 2-digit growth year-on-year basis, be it India market or Asian market or be it Gulf market. And of course, US has always been leading from the front, and they have shown to the market and so on and so forth. And we have a lot of opportunities all over, not only in India, but globally also. Now here, specifically with respect to what we have been doing here in Olympia, we are distributing thousands of brands here in India across the channel, specifically on e-commerce on different marketplaces. Now here, we do offer the services to the brands with respect to maybe on the transfer pricing, or maybe we can offer the services on the pricing strategy as per the brand. Because certain brands do not want the pricing to be commanded by the seller or distributor. So there we work on their pricing strategy, where we work on the retention margin. And we do offer all kind of services for the local brands as well as the global brands, where we can act as an importer on record, we can import by ourselves, and we can offer different kind of services. What Deepak has been offering to the Gulf market, and what Mr. Nacho has been offering for the Asian market. We can act as a distributor, like in Malaysia, Neeraj has been offering the services for. So here we can act as a strategic partner for Indian market for different brands which are represented in India by Olympia, wherein we import host of brands, which we offer them the solutions for selling online, selling it offline on GT, MT, and specialized shops like pet stores. So there's a chain of pet stores where the pet products can be offered to different kind of pet stores. Likewise, there is a big market for the government markets where government is a big consumer here in India. So that is another opportunity area which can be open for different brands. Now, beside all this, we do offer for the Indian brands to take them global. And we do have the selling services available through Olympia to sell it on different markets, US or UK or Gulf market or Australian market, or even in Asian market also through different marketplaces, Amazon or eBay or Lazada or Souk.com or various other, Souk is Noon.com and various other marketplaces. So all those services can also be offered. And now, of course, I tend to agree with our previous learned speakers where they have said that the growth in the e-com space has been quite impressive and quite phenomenal. Historically, e-commerce has been price-sensitive, price-led marketplace, wherein the customers have been induced to buy online, which was more of a price incentivized market where different marketplaces have offered the price benefit, price leverages to bring the customers. But now it has become a convenience, it has become a necessity, and people do not want to move out. People want to buy online because it is safer. This is a new normal now. Today, grocery has become a big market. Here in India, nobody could imagine that one would buy the milk, one would buy the vegetables, one would buy day-to-day grocery items online. Because there they find that it is safer to get the things at convenience. You are getting the deliveries within few hours. Nobody could imagine this. Instead of going to the crowded market where you are prone to the risk, and all those kind of things are now history. Even if, like Deepak is saying, the market is open in Gulf, but still people are buying more online. Because here you got many options. You can compare things. You can compare the brands. You can compare the pricing. You can compare the specifications. It is physically not possible for someone if you want to buy a fridge, say for example. Now, if you want to compare the specification of different brands of the fridge, how many shops, how many showrooms you would visit and compare the specification and then take a decision? If you want to buy it online, you can have the comparison on the screen within no time. And then you can choose the best brand, whichever you want, at the best available price. You can get the value for money. And at the same time, you are free from the hassles of going and physically buying it and taking the deliveries. It comes, it is installed, it is delivered, and if you don't like particular thing, you can always have the option to return it back. So with these kind of luxuries, you are really feeling like king. You have all the options to go for it or not to go for it.
Sure.
So here we all feel that online is the space which is fast catching up. And here one more important thing, everybody is talking about the B2C market. Here, beside B2C market, lot of brands having sensitized to this particular point that how important it is to reach to the customers. Customers' access and reach and data is something which is very important to the brands. They want to study and understand what the customer behavior is, how the customers are reacting, how the product launch will be behaved by the customers, how the customers will accept the product. So in that case, majority of the brands have now started resorting to D2C approach. When you are talking of reaching directly to the customers, a lot of brands want to have online brand stores. They want to sell their product online through different marketplaces. They want to sell their products through GT, MT and all physical retail stores also. But at the same time, they want to have their online brand stores. Now, online brand store, they are having the direct consumer contact. They can have different kind of surveys conducted. They can have different kind of analysis done for their brands. They can know about all these things. Now here, Olympia is offering also services. We are managing and handling online brand store for many of the brands, leading brands. Of course, in the interest of business privacy, it is not advisable to disclose the name of the brands, but a lot of brands are already being handled by Olympia and a lot of brands are already aligned to get on board. This is a new trend which is emerging, and this is where local and global brands are coming. And here it can be handled not only for particular territory, for a particular country, but it can be global businesses. Likewise, we have seen a lot of brands are now focusing on B2B businesses also, which is a new fast gazing up business opportunity. Because here, this is something which is least cost effective business promotion activity, business execution activity. Today, you are not supposed to be keeping the warehouses at 20 different locations, 30 different locations, 50 different locations. You are saved from the hassles of carrying various warehouses, carrying various brand showrooms, carrying different kind of stocking locations, and huge population of staff to handle and manage. Here, with online, you have ease of doing business, you have cost-effective business model, and as Mr. Nacho has said, he was very clear, it is not a capex-led model, it is opex-led model, and that is where today this is going to be the trend, and this is the fast catching up trend. And here, Olympia is acting as a solution provider to the brands. We can simply be acting as a partner with the brands, wherein we can offer them various different stocking locations, where we have our partners whose facilities can be utilized, which will be simply plug and play. Likewise, it for B2B also. Likewise, it can be offered to the brands wherein we can act as a solution provider to offer them the solutions for D2C businesses, wherein we can offer them the solution for online brands. Now, all these things are now doable and which are simply plug and play option. And of course, Vinculum is our strong partner. With the help of Vinculum, we have been doing all this, and that is where the technology plays an important role. Now here, WMS from Vinculum is definitely a good support system. And of course, the whole ecosystem provided and offered is something which is very important, because you need to have proper warehouse management, you need to have proper inventory management, you need to have proper aging report. If you are handling the products which are having the shelf life, and if it is expired, or if it is likely to expire, if it is a short life product, how do you deal with it? It has to be timely notified, it has to be timely dealt with. And if you do not manage it properly, probably whatever you have earned and made the profit out of that particular product range or brand, you have lost more than that because of all these things. Absolutely. So all these things which can be controlled only through the help of technology, wherein it is properly notified, properly guided, and properly timely actions are taken. Wonderful. So these are the various ways to handle it, and this is how technology has to play an important role. Likewise, today with the help of AI, one can know what is the trend, what is the new future requirement which is like to emerge, how the seasonal markets are going to behave, and different territories are going to have different requirements. So one has to know, like Rahul has said, that here what is selling in India may not sell in US. So one has to know that in advance, and that again has to be visualized and analyzed and properly done. And at the same time, mind you, here presentation of the product online is equally important. Like on the shelf, you have to present the product properly. Likewise, your cataloging and A+ content, and then timely promotions and visibility and marketing is very important in online. Here, there is a popular saying, "Jo dikhta wo bikta." That is, of course, in Hindi, and that is said in India. But at the same time, that is true to every market. If it is properly displayed, properly visible, and properly brought to the notice and attention of the customer, it will sell more. Absolutely. So that is where the marketing and visibility and all that is necessary. Absolutely. So I think I've covered most of your points and which you wanted to know. And
no, fantastic. And I think so much learning. I really appreciate. We're going to go back to all the panelists just for a minute or so, asking them to tell us if there is a brand that wants to work with you and wants to come into your market, what would your advice be? So we'll start with Russ, because we want to finish on time and we want to give adequate time for questions thereafter. So the same question to everybody. Imagine a brand is keen to come and work with you. What is your advice to that brand, and what should that brand look forward to? Russ, back to you.
Thanks for that, Surit. So I wrote down a couple of words as everybody is, kind of talking here. And, the very first one I think is habit. And, now with COVID now over the past, 4 months, I think what has happened is consumers have developed a brand new habit of ordering online where they might not have before, and in categories that they've never touched ordering online before, such as the groceries or the personal care products, things that are CPG items that you normally would have just gone to the store. So I think, habits are hard to make and they're even harder to break. And I think that's what we're up against now going into this. So, as far as what I would look for, given that habit is I'd look for a company that can do that end to end. It's hard enough to go into a new market, let alone try to put together, 5, 6, 7 different services to make that work. Traditionally, to the point of entering a new market, you might have done that, 5, 10 years ago as a distribution model. You would have found somebody to buy all of your products and then get them into stores, and then maybe it would have went online at some point. It's actually reversed, kind of now. Brands are going online first, and then they're finding offline channels kind of second. So if I were to enter into a new market, if I were to enter into the Middle East, I wouldn't know where to start. I'd want one trusted place to go, find that company who could warehouse the goods. And then the other thing is getting into those multiple channels. When we talk about online, offline, each one of those are segmented into various different component parts. Entering into the American market for the first time, you put all of, I say put all your eggs in one basket with Amazon. And people thought they were insulated with Amazon here when COVID hit, because offline businesses had shut down. You're an online business, you're good. But now you have the filtering of what Amazon had determined was an essential product and what wasn't an essential product. So they actually shut down, the capability for some brands, if you were in clothing or if you were in things that they determined that were non-essential, of actually being able to send those into Amazon, where other marketplaces were still open for business. For all kind of categories, such as eBay and Walmart and different things like that. So I think, I'd be looking for somebody who could multi-face my product, put it on different marketplaces, maybe take a look at offline. The localization is very important. There's a book, I don't get any commission, but it's called Blink. Blink is the power of thinking without thinking. If you look at a product and, there's a misspelling, there's an S where it doesn't belong, there's an extra, word in the middle of the sentence that doesn't belong. People feel, you can tell that that's not right. There's something not quite right about that product. So it's those little kind of tweaks, when you look at it, it's right. Having somebody help you localize, like, as you said, putting it in Arabic on the packaging, it's that comfort level. It's right when you see it, versus, somebody who really doesn't understand your market and you feel like you're taking a chance. So I think that end-to-end services, finding somebody that won't put all the eggs in one basket for you, and then helping you with that value chain from start to finish and enabling the technology, as was stated, because it's so important. To do this stuff by hand is not reasonable. It's not logical anymore. Even social media posting and, advertising and different things needs to have technology behind it. So somebody who deploys technology, deploys on the ground knowledge, and, helps you multi-face your product is what I'd be looking for, and understands all the local intricacies of going into that market.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Russ. And I think really incredible, right? What Russ said, that if we were having this summit, for example, 4 months or 5 months ago, the discussions may have been on a very different angle as compared to what we are talking now. Let's head over to Neeraj. Neeraj, your words of advice to brands wanting to come into your market. You're on mute, Neeraj.
Yeah. There are 3 most important things which I feel, I will keep it short, 3 most important things which brands should be looking at. One is the contents. What the brand, see, what happens is we are seeing the brand online. We need to give as many contents as possible so that the consumer are easy to decide and do their purchases. 1. 2, you are not the first one in that category. So you are competing with many players. So how would you differentiate your product? What I feel is packaging plays a very, very important role in how you present your brand online. So that's the second most important points for the brand. And third, of course, it's the pricing. Whatever said and done, online has to be very competitive. We are not looking at making huge margins like retail, considering cost of operations are lower. So these are the three most important things: contents, packaging, and pricing for any brands to come and make inroads into any markets.
I think fantastic, right? So succinctly put. And I think it's very important also what Neeraj said is, if you are looking at cross-border is really intrinsic to your strategy, because a lot of people initially might have thought, just as they had thought about e-commerce saying, you know, it's a discounted channel, cross-border, and especially more so when we work with reputed partners such as yourselves, is a bona fide massive business and revenue opportunity where with the right partners, there is a huge amount of money to be made for everybody. So really, really appreciate that. Nachi, your words of advice, Nachi.
I think, first of all, I would say the cross-border platform created by Vinculum should be relooked at by the brands in India. I just gave you a statistic, you know, the merchandising trading partners. China has 17% in Asia, but we do not see anything percentage about India. Therefore, this is a great opportunity of linking the two people, the SMEs of India and the brand distributors through this platform, the cross-border platform created by Vinculum. It's something that I think it's an offshore. If you looked at a conventional method, it takes a huge capex to move. But now with this model, we do not use capex, we use an OPEX model for brands to come into any of these regions, especially into ASEAN. You can start off with Malaysia and then span off to all the ASEAN countries, which, like I said, has a potential of almost 158 billion in 2025. I think that's a thing that the Indian brands has to look at it. But because, like what Navin has also said, the Indian brands has also a lot of free trade agreements with this region also, which is not been adopted well in bringing the brands across here. Well, the China has moved in very successfully into the region of ASEAN. And we at the CITIX, like I said, we can be the multiplier enabler for the whole value chain of the product offshore strategy. For that should be something that we can offer, and definitely the spin-off can be much more easier for them.
Excellent, excellent. Nachi, thank you so much. Words of wisdom. Rahul, my friend, you are the brand yourself. So what would your advice to your counterparts be?
Yeah, so I think only one piece of advice: get the right partner here. If you have the right local partner, he will ensure all the basic right, and will not like to shake hands with you if those basic things are there in place. So I think all the five gentlemen who are a part of this esteemed panel, they are the most experienced partners in their local market. So if you have the right person with you, all the basic things will fall into place.
Well said, well said. And I'm not a panelist, but allow me to just make this one statement. So I worked for a big brand, Levi Strauss, for a very, very long period of time. And I used to live in Singapore. And you'll be amazed, Singapore was the Asia Pacific headquarters of Levi's, but the Singapore market is managed by a distributor, JG, who've been partners with Levi's for probably now 50 years, Moti Milvani's group. And they do that because even the company believes that the distributor is able to do a better job.
Absolutely.
Because of their local expertise, their dedication, and it is amazing. It is really amazing. And I think that what you said is so true. And now I speak from a brand owner's perspective myself. Just like we say, find a friend and find a treasure, find the right partner, and I think that is the solution. Excellent, Rahul. Thank you so much. I move on to my young friend Deepak. Deepak, your words of advice.
Thank you, Shurit. I think what I usually say is, having the right product on the right marketplace or right channel is just half the battle won, to be honest. It allows you only to gain traffic, but it's up to each brand. How would they drive consumers to their product and pages, because at the end of the day, it's how you localize the product. It's how you make the product look. Like Russell said right in the start, I've written down that example about Schwinn bicycles versus the Chinese bicycles, the difference was barely there. Schwinn being a brand and Chinese guy coming in and just showcasing the actual scenario of some lady riding down on a bike. That's the difference. And on an online presence for your end user, all it takes is that one X on the top right to shut the page. So I'm a strong believer in investing strongly in off-platform avenues to gain that brand recognition and consumer engagement. On platform is great, but like Rahul said, get the right partner so that you can keep the consumer engaged locally. Brands and retailers, everyone's looking at expediting international expansion to drive their growth, revenue growth. But it's the omni-channel consumer demand that will struggling to keep up with the online channel demand right now. So they need to make sure that they invest rightly, they come in with the right partner and do the right thing.
Great. And I think that's again reiterating the fact that find the right partner does not necessarily mean that you wash your hands off. It means an equal partnership where you stay engaged. And with that, I want to ask Navinji. Navinji works with thousands of brands. Navinji, if you could give some examples without taking names of brands, but some of the real successes that you've seen, if you could help us understand how this win-win relationship between distributor and the brand works and what does it take?
See here, as a brand, one has to look at what brand is exactly looking from the market. And then one has to reach to the market with that intent, with the capable partner to execute those scheme of things. Today, say for example, if the customer is already affording the temperature controlled products to be delivered to them through their physical distribution channel. But at the same time, physical distribution channel is having its own merits and demerits. Now, if it has to reach to the customer in a perfect condition without impacting the quality of the product, then how can it reach? Should it be shipped in an ice box or should it be wrapped with different kind of packaging? We have done the business for many of the chocolate brands wherein we have wrapped it with ice packs, which was gel pads, which were kept in a deep freezer for 48 hours in minus 25 degree temperature so that they can keep the temperature intact for the chocolate to reach in a hard cake form to the customer. So here one has to first define what exactly you are looking for from the brand or product for the customer's aspiration point of view. And thereafter deliver it in the same shape with the right choice of partners who has the capability to execute. So these are various different kind of things one has to look for. Similarly, India is a country of festivities and everything is linked with the festivals. So if you are trying to deliver something during the festival of colors, deliver the product along with the colors, and there you celebrate by gifting it, have it in a gift pack. Likewise, during Raksha Bandhan, Rakhi is on Eve. On 3rd of August, we have Raksha Bandhan. So here, sister wants to tie the Rakhi to the brother. She wants to gift sweets along with Rakhi. So that is packed together and dispatched. Like this has to basically look at what exactly they are looking for and how it can be delivered. And this is how we are partnered and given the customized solution to many brands. And those has been roaring success. Those has been the trendsetter in the market. And this is how one has to do.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much. So our esteemed panelists, I think, have packed in, to me at least, wisdom which I would have got in many years I got in this session. I would request if you all are okay, because usually we get questions and I know in Malaysia, in KL, it is quite late now, but I would request if you just stay on for a little while, if it is possible for us to answer some of the questions. So if I may request my colleagues, Abhishek, Sakshi, if there are any questions for any of the panelists, please do ask.
Yes, thank you, Shurit. Hello, everyone. I'm Sakshi from Vinculum, and I'll be handling the Q&A. So I would request all the attendees to post the questions under the Q&A tab. So the first question is for Navin ji. The question is, what is the technology that you are using right now, and how is it helping?
So presently we are working on SaaS model offered by Vinculum, wherein we are using the complete WMS and complete inventory control management through Vinculum, and that is how we are controlling our entire inventory. And that is what is helping us controlling the entire business and inventory, because here managing thousands of brands and multiple of tens of thousands of SKUs across the warehouses with different kind of shelf life. Some of them are having the shelf life products, some of them are not having the shelf life control, but still we have to have the inventory aging in control. We do not want to be carrying extra inventory, but at the same time we should not be falling short of inventory to afford the sales out, stock out situation. So that is how we are managing our inventory through WMS offered by Vinculum.
Sakshi, if I may also, because this is a very important question, if I may also ask this question to some of our other panelists, particularly I would like to request Russ also to talk about this. Russ, if you would also mind, because you work a lot with technology, if you wouldn't mind also answering this question, please.
Yeah, so it's a multitude of different technologies. We too work with Vinculum software here in the United States for inventory control, and then also posting to multiple marketplaces. And then we have partners where Vinculum kind of leaves off, whether it's a VTEX platform for web-enabled sales, or whether it's, somebody like an Ad Yogi to help us with social media, some BI tools in the background to actually, build some of those reports and intelligence and gathering data. You can learn a lot from all those different tools. I mean, Excel is probably one tool that everybody kind of uses, but then, there's so many other tools underneath the hood that, people should be using and could be using to help. I mean, simple things, even internally, like using Slack, to do inter office communications for quick answers, and even partners that are external, giving them their own channel, or an Asana board, to actually organize project management and onboarding. So, when you take a look at a tech stack, it's very important, even down to the accounting. How do I account for all of this stuff? Am I integrated with, an accounting package? I mean, here, a popular one is QuickBooks. We actually use something called Acumatica. So, it's that end-to-end kind of tech stack built, custom, and to the point of all the other panelists, when you talk about the operating expense of putting a platform like that together to enter a new market and customize it, it can be very expensive. So taking advantage of, people who have already done this in the local markets, I think is super important. And, technology definitely plays a role, even down to Gmail. It's amazing how many points of contact you touch in technology, for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody else wants to touch a little bit upon this? And if you are using products, which like what Navin ji mentioned, how that is helping you?
Yeah, so we don't use Vinculum system.
Shurit, you can ask that to Neeraj. Neeraj can answer.
Yeah. I'll ask it to Neeraj. Neeraj, would you like to just add something?
Sure. We use both their WMS, and even we use their content management system. So in fact, it is wonderful in terms of, we are actually not use their cross-border, in fact, because we are still concentrating only on Malaysia. But I think WMS and their content management system both are excellent in terms of giving us a real-time complete inventory update as and when we require. So we would highly recommend it, that many other partners should surely look at that.
Great.
Content management system is also very interesting.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Neeraj. Sakshi, kindly continue with your questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Can I also say something?
Nachi, please.
please.
Hold on, Sakshi.
We as a LSP here, what we do normally is we have what we call technology for each of our clients. But looking at this cross-border, we will use it as a SaaS model via Vinculum. This is what our intention is all about.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Nachi.
Thank you
Sakshi,
so
carry
much.
on.
Yes. So the next question is from Rajan Desai, and this question is to Deepak. He's asking, is it compulsory to enter into the market with the use of e-commerce platform?
I don't understand. Is it compulsory to enter through?
Is it compulsory to enter into the market with the use of e-commerce platform?
So my guess is the question is, can you enter through traditional retail instead of e-commerce, right?
You definitely can enter through either way, offline, online, traditional retail, or e-commerce. Middle East is a great market for all of that. Like I said, retail is not dead. Traditional shops are still there. Offline stores are still there. But if you see the model that is going further, like for example, if I was to give you an example related to this, Dubai Mall has now completely come online onto noon.com. So you can shop from each of Dubai Mall stores on noon.com. So you see the amalgamation of offline and online now. That is the future of the region. I personally feel for brands and retailers who may have previously viewed digital commerce as a second channel, having an online presence now in the new normal is more important than ever before. So you prepare for the new normal, have the right capabilities. So it's not necessary that you have to only enter through e-commerce. You can enter through a traditional retail channel. But of course, the expenses are completely different because in this region, you need a local sponsor. The rentals are pretty high. So traditional retail has different challenges as compared to online e-commerce.
Thank you. So we have another question. This question is for Rahul from Organic Harvest. The question is, can you comment on your experience in advertising and promotion spendings as you enter new markets online in A&P much larger than the traditional offline model? Also, do you see the returns in terms of profit? So Rahul, the question was for you.
Rahul might be facing internet issues. He'll
Okay.
probably come back. Why don't we park that question? We'll ask it to him the moment we see him. Go on to the next question.
Yes. So the next question is for Russell. The question is from Mr. Jitesh. The question is, what's the difference between working with IOR and selling directly? What is more beneficial? What are the tax compliances, obligations on both?
So it depends on if you want to have the complexity of opening up a company here in the United States with your own tax ID, with the compliance issues, the sales tax across all 50 different states being compliant now with the minimum thresholds. When working with an importer on record, where we would take in the goods and be that seller on record for you, that complexity kind of goes away, and we can focus on actually getting the product into the market. The other benefit, obviously, is working with somebody here on the ground who already has relations with the different marketplaces, with the different channels, versus trying to establish those kind of on a single brand basis. When we go to a marketplace with multiple different brands, we have more of a bargaining position than if you enter kind of on your own. So there's advantages and disadvantages to each. I think it really is depending on what volume of business you're planning, and do you have other business here in the United States besides that product? And, obviously, tax implications and earning implications, are all taken into consideration. So it's really on an individual basis, and, that's something that we can sit down with the brand and understand.
Thank you. The next question is for Mr. Nachi. The question is, where can we find custom duty for product categories? How do you plan to manage liquidation of unsold goods?
There is two ways. One, through us, because we also represent all customs clearance. The other one is actually hosted in the customs portal for all importation regulation and also exportation regulations. In terms of liquidation, there are two ways to do it. One, we can also go back to the physical distribution and offer that to the marketplace. or we can also look at also giving a discount into the online platform.
Okay. Thank you so much. So, Rahul, if I'm audible to you, the next question is for you. Yeah, the question is, can you comment
Mhm.
on your experience in advertising and promotion spendings as you enter new markets online? Is advertising and promoting much larger than a traditional offline model? Also, do you see the returns in terms of profit?
Yeah, so advertising plays a very big role, be it offline or online, because something which is not visible will not be sold, especially in the online world where the consumers have so many choices available with just a click of button. Having said that, the beauty of digital platform is that you can track every single dollar that you are spending in the advertisement, and so it's a brand's call to keep the ROI in control. Some brands take an aggressive stand to be visible at all the platforms whenever they enter a new market. Some brands tread cautiously, so we fall into the second category. We don't want to be present all across the platform without looking at the ROI. We are very conscious about the ROI thing. So yeah, it plays a very bigger role. But my advice would be to keep a close eye on the ROI as well. Don't spend blindly whenever you are entering a new market.
Okay. So our third last question is to Mr. Neeraj from Urbanis. The question is from Mr. Alok, and he is asking future of Ayurveda companies in Southeast Asia in present and future.
Well, post-COVID, actually, if you look at the category, the health and wellness category is actually doing very well. And in future, it will continue to do well in this next at least 1 to 2 years. Having said that, some of these markets are for health and wellnesses. Markets like Australia are very, very strong. However, Ayurveda, the tradition, the origin is from India. So, like Mr. Nachi also said, that a lot of Indian companies have not explored the Southeast Asian markets or actually globally anywhere. So it's a right time for Indian markets, Indian brands to go globally. So I think Ayurveda has got a very good opportunities going forward. Health and wellness, anything to do with health and wellness is going to be the trend in coming times.
Thank you. The next question is for Navin ji. Navin ji, the question is, India is a very competitive market, and I'm a trader from Indonesia, wish to sell Muslim wear in India. Can you suggest which channels are appropriate for me, and how can I build market for my brand?
So here in India, of course, it is a competitive market, and customers are definitely having the price sensitive decisions. But at the same time, India is a country where it has the scope and potential for all different varieties of the products, wherein you have top end of the market, you have middle range of the market, and lower end of the market. Now, if he wants to position his product into the lower end of the market, then probably GT and mass market is the area whereby he can reach and approach, and he should have the right partner to reach out to the masses. And of course, in online also it is selling quite well, wherein the price sensitive products are offered in abundance at all different kind of control, but at the same time you have to reach to mass market through GT as well. Now, similarly, if it is a high end of the product, then again one has to position it accordingly, and basis that one has to do the branding and create the visibility through social media and digital and print media as well. And then he can position and accordingly market it. So depending upon where he wants to position his product and how he wants to price it, and definitely price will play an important role. If he wants to have the mass volume, then of course it has to be lower end of the market. And if he wants to have moderate volumes, then he can position himself in middle and higher range.
Okay. Thank you, Naveen ji. So the next question is for Deepak. Deepak, there are two questions for you. So one is from Walid. He is asking for, do you offer services to brands operating in Saudi Arabia?
Yes, actually we do. Brands operating in Saudi Arabia, we also, depending on which market in the MENA region they want to enter, so we offer end-to-end services for the MENA region completely.
Okay, so the other question was, are there any e-commerce aggregators to enable in UAE which offer end-to-end e-commerce solutions to brands and businesses? I guess you answered that.
Yeah, and not sounding too boastful, Premier Logistics.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Shurit, I guess we are good to go now. We already crossed our 1 hour mark.
Yeah, we crossed it long back and it is rather late. So first of all, a big thank you to our audience, because I think it is because of the audience that we are here. So thank you to all of you out there, and we hope it was useful for you. It was enlightening. Please do reach out to us if you want to discuss further. And of course, a big thanks to every one of you, Russ, who got up early in the morning to join this call, Nachi and Neeraj, who are staying up till very, very late, Rahul, Navin ji, dialing in from India, where also it's getting late, and Deepak, middle of the day, which means you sacrificed a big part of, your working day for this. So thank you, everybody, friends. Great learning, and most of all, I love the camaraderie. So the sense of friendship that we felt in this panel is quite extraordinary, and I really appreciate you for your kindness. Thank you, everyone, and a big thank you also to the team that set this up. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I would just like to add that we will answer the rest of the Q&As. We will reach out to you guys separately. And we have another session tomorrow, which is on cross-border e-commerce enablement by 3PLs and fulfillment partners. And that will start at 2:30 p.m. So please join us tomorrow.
2:30 p.m. India time.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good
See you.
morning.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.